Welcome to the Training Grounds Scenario 1. In this particular tutorial, we're going to be having one Coral Empire Taipan versus one Canada League Abhamon. Let's talk about board setup. This is 30 by 30 inches, 4 by 4 in. We're going to have 4 level 1 height buildings, which could potentially provide partial cover. These are level 1. Each of your arcs stand at level 2, so that provides them with half cover. The central building is a 6 by 4 building, which is a line of sight blocker. It's at least level 2 high. There's no way that these guys can see through it. The arcs are able to go up 1 level per inch. They cannot scale the taller building. Deployment rules are whoever wins initiative gets to deploy first. They pick a map edge, either 4 inches across, and across each map edge we have a 4-inch border before we hit these particular buildings. Whoever wins initiative gets to pick their map edge and deploy. Whoever loses initiative has to go into the opposite corner. Coral Empire is the teal dice, Canada League is the blue dice. Let's roll for initiative on deployment. 1s and 2s. Coral Empire goes first. They have the highest roll. The Taipan is going to play typical Coral Empire doctrine. They're going to be relatively fast and aggressive. The Abhamon has to set up in the opposite corner. We're going to set up over here. Initiative is rolled with a 1d6. We have 3 for the Coral Empire and 6 for the Abhamon. So the highest roll goes first. Any ties are re-rolled. Arcs are able to cruise or they can dash. It's just a variance of speed. If they dash, they're traveling faster, so the weapons are less stable and there's more things going on. So when they dash, they can only fire with one particular weapon. If they cruise, they can fire with all their weapons. Now, something to keep in mind, our Abhamon, who is deployed here, has given himself a good starting position because he could dash over here to create a firing lane to the Taipan without line of sight. So the Taipan would be unprotected because they've only freshly deployed. Now, in order to protect from that, so that you get at least 1 activation before being destroyed, there is a defensive buff of +3 armor rating to any freshly deployed and unactivated unit. Now, I know that the calculation for this is going to be too much, and it's not really how the Canada League like to fight. So the Canada League likes to be patient and precise. So we're going to move ahead 4, which we'll put in there, and then we've got another 8, so we can dash. You can hide behind this building. Facing is very important in this game. If you don't face the right way, you can get yourself smashed pretty hard. So we've now moved 12 inches. From our movement modifiers, that means that we get a +2 armor rating should we be fired on this turn. That's the movement phase for the Abhamon complete. The Coral Empire plays quite aggressive and fast, and they like to get the first strike in pretty quick. To move straight ahead of the Abhamon would be not wise. We could go here, which would put us within short range of our cannons, but to go there would be a dash, and a dash means I'm reduced down to 1 shot. The chest armor rating for the Abhamon is an armor rating of 9, plus the 2 for moving, that takes us to 11, and the smoke that the Abhamon would then let off would take us to 12. And if I shoot with one of my cannons, with the laser rangefinder that is equipped, as well as the thermals, plus the base AV of 10, that would get me to 12, so the Sabo would just ping off of the armor here. But most crucially, that would end my turn and my movement, and I'm 8 inches away from the Abhamon, which means he could dash behind me and he'd be able to backstab me, or he could cruise to my flank and he could shoot everything he's got into my flank. That would not be a wise decision to do. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to try and flank him around the other side. We're going to dash from a starting position. We're going to turn our back to the building. We move 12 inches. That gives us a movement modifier of +2. Have any weapons fire at this stage? This is now round 2, and we will go through to initiative. Both teams have rolled 3, ties are re-rolled. Abhamon has 5 and the Taipan has 2. The Abhamon can go first. We're going to go and get partial cover behind that building, moving 12 inches. Tucking up nice and tight to the building within 1 inch so that we get partial cover. Now, I couldn't move diagonally across because to go from point of origin to the building, that's going to be 6 inches plus 1 to go up, so that'd be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I wouldn't be able to get back down, I'd be on top of the building. But if I go around the building, I still get the partial cover. And I'll travel for 12 inches. That gives me an armor rating buff of 2. Taipan's turn. Taipan is going to be dashing forwards to engage. Face to face. We've travelled for 12 inches, giving a defensive buff of 2. That puts us within short range of the cannons. Now that we're in the targeting phase, let's look at all of the modifiers as they occur. We're going to deploy smoke. That's going to take the defensive armor rating up from 2 to 3. Plus, we are behind partial cover. That is going to give us another 2. Round 2 firing phase for the Taipan. This is where it gets exciting, right? We are at short range, 7 inches for the 150mm smoothbore cannons that the Taipan has. The Taipan dash, so we can only fire 1 of those. Now let's have a look at the modifiers. This guy's got a laser rangefinder as well as the thermal imaging. That's +2, so that takes us from a base attack value of 10 to 12. So that's what we're working with from his side. Let's have a look at what the Abhamon can defend with. The Abhamon has a chassis armor rating of 9, plus the 2 for movement. That takes him to 11. He also has +2 from the building, so he goes to 13. That means that the Sabo simply pings off the chest armor of the Abhamon. It was a wasted move, typical Coral Empire. As we transition to round 3, let's recap. The Canada League's Abhamon has been patient, advancing, taking partial cover. The Coral Empire, typical fashion, has been aggressive in pursuing the Abhamon, but they're now left in the open. It's round 3. Let's see what happens now with initiative. Let's roll these dice. Oh, the Coral Empire gets to go first. Roll the 6, the Canada League rolled 4. Now then, let's have a look at some options as to what the Taipan can do now. The Taipan's got some tasty options here. From here, it's going to be a fairly easy cruise. Remember, we've got an 8-inch range to cruise. That's going to take the Taipan here into the rear arc of the Abhamon. What's important to note here is that the previous round's movement bonus that the Abhamon gained remains until the next activation. So we had a +2 movement for moving those 12 inches. That remains in play now. During the targeting phase, you have to declare which weapon is going to which enemy. And since this is a one-on-one engagement, that's pretty easy. We're going to fire everything we've got. That's 4 150mm smoothbore cannons. That is also 4 rotary cannons and 6 miniguns, all straight into the rear of the Abhamon. That's all coming in right now at 3 inches away. The Abhamon already has a defensive bonus of 2. We're going to deploy some smoke. We'll check that off the sheet now. And that gives us a defensive bonus of 3 to our armor rating. But towards the rear, that's only 3 anyway. So our armor rating totals to 6. 3 for the armor, plus 3 for the movement and the smoke. Now at short range, the Taipan has a 10 attack value as the base for the autocannons. We have to resolve in descending order, so we start with the autocannons, who are the heaviest guns that we've got, plus the laser rangefinder, plus the thermals gives it a base of 12. So the first shot hits, causes 6 structure damage to the Abhamon. That takes him down to 6 because we started with 12. Because we achieved a damage of 2 or greater, we get to roll on the critical table. 5 on the critical table is crew. That means that the Abhamon is now going to miss the next activation. Now we have the next cannon come firing in. That is going to go through the same mathematics, right? So we still have the 3 from the defensive bonuses. We have the 3 from the rear armor versus the 12 from the second cannon from the Taipan. That's a further 6 points of damage, and that is the Abhamon, ladies and gentlemen. History, they only have 12 structure, and that's it, job done. It is turn 3. The Abhamon is destroyed. The Taipan is the victor with 1 kill. There's nothing left to beat. That ends the game. There is no more moving or firing for the Abhamon. The rounds are not simultaneous.